Hello, everybody. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jane?
Very good. And hopefully everyone is doing great out there. And we're going to talk a little bit about life after death, which is a bit serious. Of course, Mike, who is, as we know, a crash investigator and driver safety expert, you actually have your own story about why being an organ donor is important. And I know we're also going to see a video about a young girl who wanted to become a doctor to save lives, but instead saved lives upon her death. So let's start first with your story, Mike, and then we'll go into the video. How about that?
Yep, that sounds great. So you know what? This is a topic that people just don't want to talk about. You know, parents, if your son or daughter came home and said, "Mom, Dad, I want to be an organ donor." Oh gosh, honey, do we have to think about that right now? Well, listen, if you don't put organ donation on your license, your chances of becoming a donor are not going to happen. Because when you're out in the field, they only have X amount of time to get that heart, get the lungs, get the kidneys, the liver, the things that can keep people alive. So I'm going to give you my own personal story. And I am an organ donor. All my kids are organ donors. And here's the reason why. My dad, at 56 years old, had his first heart attack. He was the third transplant in the United States for a heart. Now think about that. That was a scary time back then, number 3. And what happened was when he was a young boy, his dad, my grandfather, didn't believe in medicine, didn't believe in healing. And my dad got strep throat a lot. Now think of anybody out there that's had strep throat before. Think of that, your body healing that without medication. What it does is it builds up scar tissue on your heart, okay? So when my dad had his first heart attack, the doctor said, "Oh my gosh," his name was Dave, "Oh my gosh, Dave, your heart is 3 times the size it should be." Now, my dad is a big guy. He's 6'4", 325 pounds. The doctor said, "We're going to have to put you on the heart transplant list, but there's usually a 2-year wait to get a heart. In the meantime, Dave, you need to get down to 180 pounds because there ain't anybody's heart out there that's going to work in your 325-pound body." Well, my dad wasn't a fat guy. He was a big guy, okay? He worked on the farm his whole life. So he did his best to get down to wherever. But what happened is his heart was getting so weak that it couldn't pump the fluids, and he was starting to swell up. So he got down to about 240 pounds, 225. His 2 years were running out, and he went back to the doctor. And the doc said, "Dave, go home and get your house in order. You don't even have 10 days. You're not going to survive. We can't find you a heart. Go get your house in order." What a sad thing. Fortunately, we, his kids, had time over this 2 years to prepare for this, thinking that, you know what, it's probably never going to happen. Well, believe in miracles, and I wish this didn't happen to save my dad, because somebody has to die for somebody to live. And that's the story you're going to hear after this too. Somebody dies, somebody lives when we are organ donors. My dad had to wear a beeper, and if the beeper went off, he didn't make phone calls. You could only be 25 miles away from the hospital. You already had a suitcase packed. Anyway, after the doctor gave him that bad news that you don't even have 10 days to live, 4 days, 5 days after that, his beeper went off. And of course, he calls me, and I said, "I'll be over to get you. Great, this has got to be good news, Dad." I take him down to the hospital. They had found a heart for him. 4 hours away, a 17-year-old kid was rollerblading on the side of the road without a helmet on. Tripped, fell, hit his head, and was brain dead. 6'8", 220 pounds. Blood type's the same. Wow. Think about this, guys. Wow. Okay. Anyway, my dad ended up getting his heart, and to not go on with a really, really long story here, it was just incredible. I was there at the time of the transplant, and it was just awesome. My dad lived because of that 17-year-old kid's parents allowing their parents to be an organ donor. My dad lived another 18 years with that 17-year-old's heart. And he could have lived another 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 more if he didn't think the Old Country Buffet was a great place to eat. So anyway, listen to this little video we got. It's great. Organ donation is that. Just ask yourself, what are you doing if you did die? You know what, parents? When your son or daughter's under the age of 18, they have to come to you to get a signature anyway. So it's okay to let them be an organ donor at 15 and 16 and 17 because you still get the final say, even though that license or permit says organ donation. But it's a good thing. We affect a lot of lives. You should check it out.
Kaylee Jackson was a high school senior mere weeks away from graduation. She planned to go to Ohio State and dreamed of becoming a surgeon. All of that was cut short on April 27, 2018, her prom night. Kaylee, her boyfriend, and 2 others were headed to dinner before prom. On their way, the driver started veering right, then overcorrected, sending the car across the road, crashing through a fence and sideswiping a pole.
When we were about to wreck, and I looked over and saw like the pure horror in her face, and that's when I knew like this is insane. Like this is about to happen.
Kaylee and her boyfriend were thrown from the backseat of the car. Of the 4 teens in the vehicle, 3 survived. Kaylee did not.
When I was in the hospital, I just kept on thinking like, let her just at least talk to me one more time, like say I love you one more time. Like that's all I wanted.
I'm so thankful my son's here, but it also breaks my heart.
In the ICU, Kaylee's parents were faced with a heart-wrenching decision. Kaylee had become unresponsive. Her heart continued to beat only with the help of a respirator.
All of her close friends knew that she wanted to be an organ donor because she wanted to save as many lives as she could, whether it be saving them herself or being able to give a part of herself to save them.
You have to die in a certain manner in most situations that allow you to give the gift of life, especially when it comes to organ donation.
When someone's really healthy, it's amazing how many lives can be touched. You can give your lungs, and sometimes it could be both lungs to different people. You can give your liver, and sometimes you can actually split the liver and give it to 2 different folks. The liver should go to the sickest person on the waiting list. And then it goes the next sickest, and the next sickest, and the next sickest. It has nothing to do with how long you've been on the list, where you live, what kind of insurance you have. It's just purely based on the MELD score.
Kaylee's family was well aware of how organ donation can impact other lives. When Kaylee was little, her own grandfather had had 2 kidney transplants.
I know that we got 13 good years from somebody else's gift, and I hope that gifts that Kaylee's giving will give somebody 13, 15, 20, 25 years, if not more.
Months later, the recipients of Kaylee's organs came together for the meeting of a lifetime.
It's just neat to be able to meet the people that Kaylee was able to touch.
Just really excited. I don't know. I don't have really words for it.
I can't imagine what the other parent had to go through. And so it's very emotional. And I feel grateful.
Hi. Hi.
Kaylee's liver was divided in 2, one part going to Yassine, who was just 2 years old at the time. The other half went to a loving grandmother, Veronica Richardson.
I got 75% of her liver, and I just want to thank you.
2 organs went to Jennifer Fons, a school teacher.
I got the kidney and the pancreas. Thank you.
Sometimes I just feel like maybe I have some of her energy and her want for life and to live and her happiness.
So we started the Kaylee Jackson Sunshine Memorial Fund because the first thought was I really want to do a scholarship at our high school. She was on the soccer team. She played freshman through junior year. It was actually the soccer team that decided to do the alumni game. So it was actually also like a fundraiser. All the proceeds went to her scholarship fund. We raised over close to 800 just the first game. And I was able actually to give out the first scholarship last year. It was a student that was going into nursing. Kaylee and I, she was doing her first tattoo, planned on getting "You Are My Sunshine and My Only Sunshine." And so obviously since we couldn't do that, my sister and I each got "You Are My Sunshine." Each year, even 20 years from now, people will know Kaylee's story. So that's really important to me.
You can call that video bittersweet because like you said, someone had to die for others to live. But at least that young girl fulfilled her dream to save other people's lives.
Yes, and you know what? I would have rather seen the 17-year-old live. You know, my dad had his life. He had 56 years, and now he's 58. Remember, it's 2 years.
Right.
But a 17-year-old had to die to give him another 20 years or 18. Anyway, yeah, it's amazing how life works. Let's put it that way. So, great
but
story.
they live on within the hearts of inspiring those that they saved, I think. So I think that's a positive.
You know what was so incredible of my dad's story is the parents of the 17-year-old had a family reunion for everybody who received part of their son.
That's cool.
2 lungs, 2 kidneys, a heart, a liver, cancer patients' eyes. Amazing. It was amazing, the turnout that came for that. So, you know what? Good things. Like I say, check it out. It's an awesome thing.
I think that's right. Yay for organ donation.
Yes.
Now, to get more tips or to rewatch this video too, we have a few links, and you can go to drivesafe.ridesafe.com. You can also subscribe to these videos for free at our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/user/drivesafe1, and you'll get a whole library of videos of Mike's words of wisdom. And then, of course, like us on Facebook at drivesafe.ridesafe.com. I'm sorry, just Drive Safe, Ride Safe. And of course, until next time, what do we say, Mike?
Hey, thanks for joining us. And you know what? We'll see you again on Live with Jane and Mike. Have a great one. Yes.